World War II wasn't only fought on land, and it wasn't won at sea alone. Some of the most decisive moments of the war happened in the space between, where land meets water. Amphibious vehicles made it possible to land troops, weapons, and supplies directly onto hostile shores. They removed the need for captured ports, bridges, or prepared infrastructure, and without them, large-scale invasions like Normandy or island campaigns in the Pacific simply could not have happened. This video breaks down every major amphibious vehicle used during World War II, explained by role, design, and battlefield purpose, starting with the country that relied on them the most. The United States approached amphibious warfare as a logistics problem first and a combat problem second. American planners recognized early that landing forces meant little if those forces could not be sustained once ashore. Their vehicles weren't just meant to fight, they were meant to move men and material continuously from ship to shore. Even when ports were destroyed, beaches were contested, and infrastructure was non-existent. This logistics-first mindset became a defining feature of American amphibious design. GMC DUKW. The GMC DUKW was a six-wheeled amphibious cargo truck and one of the most important vehicles of the entire war. Its role was simple but critical: carry supplies directly from ships offshore onto beaches, riverbanks, and damaged ports. Before the DUKW, amphibious operations depended heavily on functional docks, cranes, and port facilities, multiple unloading steps. In combat conditions, those systems were slow, vulnerable, or completely unavailable. The DUKW solved this problem directly. Instead of unloading cargo onto docks, which were often destroyed or congested, the DUKW drove straight into the water, floated toward shore, and then continued driving inland without stopping. This allowed a single vehicle to move supplies from ship deck to frontline units without transfer. Design highlights: boat-shaped steel hull providing natural buoyancy, 6-driven wheels for traction on sand, mud, and soft ground, rear-mounted propeller for controlled water movement. Basic characteristics: crew 2, payload roughly 2.5 tons, no armor, no weapons, pure logistics. The DUKW proved that winning a beachhead wasn't about tanks alone. It was about fuel arriving before vehicles stalled, ammunition arriving before assault slowed, food arriving before morale dropped, and medical supplies arriving before losses became permanent. The DUKW quietly kept entire offensives moving. Ford GPA SEEP. The Ford GPA was a much smaller amphibious vehicle, roughly the size of a standard military jeep. It was designed for reconnaissance and light transport, particularly for crossing rivers, streams, calm inland waters. Design highlights: compact hull, rear-mounted propeller, jeep-based mechanical layout. On paper, the GPA promised flexibility and speed. In reality, its small size limited its effectiveness in rough seas and high waves. The GPA struggled to maintain stability. It lacked the buoyancy and load capacity of the much larger DUKW, making it less suitable for open water operations. As a result, many Allied soldiers preferred the DUKW whenever conditions allowed. Large numbers of GPAs were sent to Allied nations through the Lend-Lease program. In river-heavy environments, it performed adequately, but overall results were mixed. The GPA highlighted an important lesson: amphibious capability alone was not enough. Stability and payload mattered just as much. M29C Weasel. Originally designed for snow and Arctic conditions, the M29 Weasel was a small tracked carrier built for environments where conventional vehicles could not operate. Its wide tracks distributed weight effectively, giving it excellent mobility across mud, swamps, snow, soft ground. This made it especially valuable in terrain where wheeled vehicles bogged down or became immobilized. The C variant added flotation tanks, allowing the Weasel to cross rivers, flooded terrain, and shallow water obstacles. Basic role: light transport, supply hauling, personnel movement in extreme terrain. The Weasel was lightly built and unarmored, but it filled a crucial support role. It ensured that units operating in remote, difficult environments could still receive supplies and maintain mobility. Where heavier vehicles failed or could not reach, the M29 Sea Weasel often became the only practical solution. The Pacific War demanded something different: vehicles that could carry troops and supplies directly onto defended beaches under fire. This led to the development of the LVT family. LVT-1. The LVT-1 was the first American tracked landing vehicle. Originally designed to move supplies, not fight, it featured minimal armor, no rear ramp, front cargo unloading. It first saw combat at Guadalcanal, where it proved the concept, but also revealed its limitations. LVT-2. The LVT-2 improved on the original design with better suspension, more reliable drivetrain, improved mobility over rough terrain. This made it faster and more dependable both on land and in water. LVT-3 Bushmaster. The LVT-3 introduced one of the most important innovations of the entire war: a rear loading ramp. By moving the engine forward, designers created a large ramp at the back of the vehicle. Faster troop deployment, safer cargo unloading, reduced exposure to enemy fire. LVT-4. The LVT-4 became the most widely produced variant. It combined rear ramp design, improved capacity, greater reliability. It was used extensively to carry artillery, ammunition, vehicles, bulk supplies. As beach defenses grew stronger, some LVTs were modified to fight. LVT-A1. This armored variant mounted a turret with a 37mm gun. Its purpose was close fire support during landings. LVT-A4. A major upgrade, the LVT-A4 replaced the gun with a 75mm howitzer. This gave landing forces mobile artillery support directly from the surfline. LVT-A5. The final evolution of the armored LVT series. Powered turret mechanisms, faster target tracking. It entered service late and saw limited combat before the war ended. Germany did not prioritize large-scale amphibious assaults like the Allies, but still fielded several specialized vehicles. Volkswagen Schwimmwagen. The Schwimmwagen was the most recognizable German amphibious vehicle. Based on the Volkswagen platform, it featured lightweight body, fold-down rear propeller. Its role: reconnaissance, liaison, crossing rivers and canals. Triple SG6, a larger amphibious car used primarily by engineer units, police, and security forces. It was not designed for frontline assault, but for controlled movement across water obstacles. Landwasserschlepper, LWS, literally translated as land-water tractor. This massive unarmored vehicle was designed to tow barges, pull cargo from water onto shore. Slow but extremely powerful, it filled a logistical niche rather than a combat role. Japan. Japan's island-based warfare created a strong need for amphibious designs, especially for naval operations. Type 2 Kami, the most common Japanese amphibious tank. Design features: large detachable pontoons, fully tracked hull. Once ashore, the pontoons could be discarded, allowing the tank to fight normally. Type 3 Kachi, a larger and heavier successor to the Kami. It carried a more powerful main gun, increased size and weight. Developed late in the war, it saw very limited service. Type 4 Katsu, a highly unusual amphibious transport vehicle. It featured a submersible hull concept, high-speed water movement. Some variants were intended to carry torpedoes for special naval operations. Toyota Tsuki, an experimental amphibious truck developed by Toyota. Its role: transporting troops and supplies across island chains. Only a small number were produced. Britain focused heavily on amphibious armor for the invasion of Europe. Sherman DD, duplex drive, the most famous swimming tank of the war. It used large canvas flotation screens, rear propellers driven by the engine. This allowed the tank to swim from landing craft to shore. It played a critical role during the D-Day landings. Valentine DD, an earlier British attempt at duplex drive technology. Training vehicle, development platform Terrapin Mark I, a massive 8-wheeled amphibious truck. Features 2 engines, enormous cargo capacity. despite its strength, it was notoriously difficult to handle. The Soviet Union focused on amphibious vehicles for rivers, reconnaissance, and early maneuver warfare. T-37A, an early light amphibious tank. Characteristics: thin armor, light armament, intended for scouting and communication. Many were lost in the opening stages of the war. T-38, an improved version of the T-37A. Changes included wider hull, better water stability, still lightly armed and protected. T-40, the most successful Soviet light amphibious tank of the pre-war period. It featured improved armor, modern turret design. It played an important role during the defense of Moscow. Amphibious vehicles were not glamorous. Many carried no guns. Some were slow, awkward, or difficult to control. But together, they made modern warfare possible across beaches, rivers, and islands. From the DUKW's logistical backbone to the LVT's assault landings to swimming tanks opening the way onto hostile shores, World War II was won not just by firepower, but by machines that could go where roads didn't exist.